Okay, good afternoon, all of you. This is a workshop on digital building logbooks. My name is Henk Visser. I work in the Delft University of Technology. And in our university, we also have a project on digital building logbooks, which is Demo B-Log, which will be part of the presentations this afternoon. But this presentation is also including 4 others. I think initially we had 5 others. 1 is missing. So we have now 5 different projects where activities going on around with digital building logbooks. This morning we also had a session on building permits, or digital building permits and digital building logbooks. Big connection. There already we noticed that there's a huge variety of examples that all could fall under the umbrella of digital building logbooks. I think it's basically data of buildings stored digitally for various functions. So that's also what we see in these different projects. And let's see. So we have the presentations. They will last 10 minutes, and then I will allow the audience for 1 or maybe 2 questions. And then we go on, and then Rachel will host a questions and answer session with the people of the different building logbooks, and maybe also the audience can be a little bit involved. So we have a very informative, nice meeting for 1.5 hours. Yeah, you want to add something, or do we start now with?
So yeah, we'll follow this order.
Yeah.
So the first one will be Buildchain because it's OpenDBL that is not here. So Selina, if you want to, the floor is yours. Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon to all, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I'm very glad to attend this workshop today. Today I will present to you the Buildchain project, building knowledge book in the blockchain distributed ledger. I'm Celina Solari from Rina Consulting, that is an enterprise that provides engineering and consultancy services in different fields. And as I mentioned, today we will give you an overview about the Buildchain project. Buildchain project is an Horizon project that lasts 3 years. It started in January 2023 and will end in December 2025. Involved 12 partners from different countries. In particular, we have 5 countries, Italy, Spain, Slovenia, Serbia and Hungary involved. And also 5 case studies. We know that the 80% of the building in 2050 will be still in use, so we need to preserve their integrity and value. Furthermore, modern countries are collecting a huge amount of data about the building stock, so about materials, geometrical properties, certification, operational services, and so on, that often are not well structured or disorganized or not well used. So the vision of Buildchain is that this data have a big potential to change our way to design, construct, and maintain the building stock. So the Buildchain project aims to exploit the potential of using digital building logbooks through this huge amount of data and information in order to help, the built environment of the European Union. In particular, the project will create a BIM-based decentralized knowledge platform that will be able to digitally identify, register, analyze the data of the buildings and trace all the activity related to the overall life cycle of the buildings. In particular, this platform will deal with the integration of the efficiency, circularity, and sustainability of the building, and will create a marketplace where various actors can share their offers. The BuildChain project will develop its own digital building logbook that will integrate different application tools and the data and knowledge of the buildings. In particular, this development will start from the digital building logbook used by the municipality of Florence, that will be extended with some novel data, tools, and functionalities. In particular, it will be done with the support of the decentralized knowledge graph, that it's an open source blockchain-based solution that include also some specific building-related ontologies. That in this way it will be able to provide some mechanism interface for relevant stakeholders and decision makers. So the BuildChain project will be able to interconnect different actors, so the built environment, the building, and also provide some new services based on innovative technologies that, as I mentioned before, will create a marketplace based on the data and knowledge of the buildings. In particular, the aim is also to increase the energy efficiency, sustainability, and also circularity of the built environment in the in Europe, and improve the safety, health, and comfort of the user of the building. Here you can see the consortium of this project. As I mentioned, it involves 12 partners. BuildChain is coordinated by University of Pisa and involve 4 academic partners, 2 research center, some global construction company, and some high-tech and BIM developers. The project will test and validate its solution in 5 pilots, 5 demo cases. We have the first demo case in Spain, in Granada, the Hospital Real, that will demonstrate the capabilities of BuildChain acting as a self-adaptive expert system for proactive maintenance of cultural heritage buildings. This building today is used as the headquarters of the University of Granada, and in particular in this demo the deterioration process will be identified through some new and existing monitoring system. Then we have pilot 2, that is in Slovenia, are some hospital building where the project will apply the methodology and concept of the price bill of quantities, and this pilot represent the integrated design of a new hospital in a BIM environment. We have then pilot 3, that is a very interesting pilot, Palazzo Guadagni, because it's a historical building from the 18th century, where the project tool will be tested. Today is used as the headquarters of the local police, and it will be equipped with some sensor and devices in order to monitor environment, indoor and outdoor parameters, structural parameters, and also some energy efficiency operation. The 4th pilot is always located in Florence, and it's a set of school buildings where the platform of BuildChain will be tested and demonstrated to improve the earthquake resilience and also the carbon footprint of buildings. In particular, the data of this set of school will be collected in the project platform. And finally, we have a pilot 5 that collect some multi-story timber buildings where the digital building logbook and BIM integration will be tested, and also some vibration test result of 3 tall timber buildings in UK and Norway will be registered in a BuildChain platform. Here you can see an overview of the objectives of this project. In particular, BuildChain aims to improve the management and renovation of large building stock, improve the safety, the health and the comfort of users in the building, enhance the circularity, climate resilience and energy efficiency of the urban environment, enhance the collaboration, the quality of service by a new economy built around the digital building logbook, and also improve the link of existing database, tools and sources, and also the new technology and service to collect all the data of the buildings. Here just an overview about the structure of the project, that it's built around 6 work packages. The core of the activity are concentrated in work package 2, 3, 4, 5. In particular, the first step is the logbook design, work package 2, that it's concluded in this last December. Then we have the implementation of the digital logbook, the development of some new tools and APIs that will be integrated in the digital logbook, and the test in the pilot. Here you can see where we are. We are in month 21. So 1 year and a half almost after the start of the project. In particular, we are in the phase 3, so development and data collection for the project. Here in this slide you can see some use cases, because the project will demonstrate the platform functionality through 12 use cases that will be deployed in the 5 demo case. They cover different aspects, so from the operational energy and efficiency to construction economics, life cycle assessment and carbon footprint computation, and so on. Here, one very important aspect about BuildChain, the scalability, because the project aims follow a multi-scale approach that want to integrate a multi-level and multi-resolution approach related to the BIM, because we started from a rough model at urban scale for city model purpose, in order to arrive to a more detailed scale, so a local scale at the single building level. Here, just to conclude, some impact of the project. We have impact from an economical point of view, because through this platform, it's possible to increase the innovation capacity, resilience, sustainability, and also the productivity related to the urban environment. Societal impacts, in order to increase the resilience of the European society, and also scientific impact. So the BuildChain project aim to increment the innovation capacity through follow-up procedures. BuildChain project is involved in different European initiatives, such as the European Bauhaus Initiative, Renovation Wave, and also Built for People. And I think this is all for this project, and I would like to thank you all for the attention and for the organization. Thank you.
Okay. Some question?
Is there a question?
You Jones? No.
Okay.
There was an image.
Okay.
With Botticelli and, venues and connections. I was wondering why, in the previous, I found it quite interesting to see. In one of the first slides. Yeah, that one. Back. Just, I think, this one, yes.
Okay, this is, to show the the amount of data and the different interconnection. This is just an example of how many interconnection and kind of data can be, for example, for, in this case, Firenze and the different places, the different actors and the different aims of, for example, people that want to that are, I mean, in Firenze, for example, I know the interconnection for a people that interested in Botticelli, that Botticelli is painted in Uffizi. So just to show the amount of data for a simple example, and translated to a building, so how many data, how many interconnection, and how it's difficult to manage them.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I found it very interesting that you will develop the DBL within your project as well, and I was wondering if you will take form of the previous examples from other European projects or the ECORIS technical study guidelines. I was just wondering, like, if you find a lot of overlaps or if there's limitations to what has already been done and how you've addressed it with your own DBL.
Yes, we analyze these these topics in one of the first work package 2, in order to design our digital building logbook. We make the literature review, analyze all different activity, European activity, and also found the different digital building logbook developed in different European projects, make a comparison and also benchmark them, and highlight the different, the innovation that each digital building logbook could bring, and also try to So yes, we are in the development phase. So we made this in the first phase. So now we finish them and we try to develop our digital building logbook. Take some suggestion from the research that we did, but also implement. I think it's a public document, so probably it's you can find it in the website.
Very ambitious.
Thank you.
So
Next project, it's Chronicle, yes.
who is that? Who is going
Alessandra. No, Alessandra, yeah.
Okay, 10 minutes? Yes. I give you 2.
So thank you all, and thanks for organizing this interesting workshop. I'm Alessandra Cuneo. I'm coming from Rina Consulting, let's say the same company as Celino presented just a few minutes before Belchain. And today I would like to present a Chronicle project. And Chronicle is, let's say, an European funded project which has the aim to develop building performance digitalization and dynamic logbox for the future value-driven services. The project started in July 2022, and it will run until, let's say, January 2026 for 42 months duration project. Is more or less 6 million budget for the full project, and is coordinated by CIRSE, which is a research center in Spain. The consortium is composed by 18 partners all around Europe. So we have companies, university, research center, building partners like EIS, which is, let's say, focus on tools developed that coming from several countries all around Europe. So we have a quite spread, let's say, coverage of different countries. The objective of Chronicle project is to deliver a dynamic energy performance assessment framework that can address the whole phase of the building life cycle, so starting from the construction during the, let's say, operation of the building and its renovation and, say, end of, not end of life, but if we renovate, how to manage with the renovation of the building. And with a strong focus on the aspect related to the human-centric, so in terms of comfort and well-being of the occupants of the buildings, and the social aspects through a social LCA approach. The third goal is related to the development within the project of standards that could be, let's say, interoperable in order to, let's say, develop an interoperable building performance framework, and to, let's say, identify which are the incentives that drives the different stakeholders involved in digital building logbook and, let's say, in the development of energy performance assessments framework to deliver user-friendly and insight information in terms of building performance that, of course, needs also to trigger which are the future business models. The other objective of the project are related, first of all, to the design, also to different services that can be from an energy point of view, but also from a non-energy point of view, that can be offered through different business model, of course, and flexible performance triggered SLA, and to, of course, validate which are the expected impact of the different solutions that are under development within the project in different real-life conditions. We have several pilots involved in the project, and of course, towards the maximization on the replication potential. We have, we have 5 different pilot sites which cover different type of buildings. So we have single-family house, we have multi-family house, we have apartment, we have social housing, in order to understand how the solution that the project is developing actually will perform in different conditions, not only in terms of building, but also in terms of different climate, different geographical coverage, different market, different, let's say, boundary condition at 360 degrees. So we have the 5 pilot sites are based in Denmark, Greece, Switzerland, Ireland, and Spain. The methodology that is used within the project is, let's say, to develop solutions that can cover the full supply chain of the stakeholder and activities involved in the project, both from new buildings as well as existing buildings, during the full building design, construction, and renovation spectrum, involving, of course, let's say, from the different point of view, so not only for, let's say, the planning, the solution sizing, in terms of optimization of the building operation and the building renovation, but also so from an ESCO or facility manager point of view, but also through the building design, so to support engineering constructor company in design new buildings, as well as everything related to the part of the investment, so to develop data-driven property valuation, flexibility value sharing, in order to support our investors and public authorities in, let's say, performing new investment in this field. Let's say, in this sense, the project and the solution that Chronicle project would like to develop are, let's say, tools that could be benefit not only for building owners and investors, but of course to facility manager, energy service companies, engineering, construction and architecture stakeholders, and facility manager. The demonstration and validation of the different solutions will be performed through 4 different steps. So first of all, we will start at TRL 5 in terms of functional testing in order to test the hardware and services solution in lab conditions, and this will be done by Hypertech and QE for, let's say, the blockchain and the IoT components. Then we will move to TRL 6, performing some beta testing in terms of, let's say, we will have a preliminary launch of the tools in Hypertech offices and residential testbed, as well as in KTUA building. So in a context that is near the real world, but with some, let's say, possible control of all the different aspects, towards, let's say, first of all, a small-scale deployment in order to investigate the deployment of the different components to a demographic and diverse subset of pilot sites, and then we will finalize with the full-scale demonstration that target TRL 7, TRL 8 of the full deployment of the Chronicle solution to all the pilot sites that I presented before, in order to, of course, evaluate in real scale condition the performance of the different solution. Let's say after and through this evaluation framework, the activities of Chronicle project will be applied at the end on a large scale that will include more than 200 families all around Europe. So if you would like to recap, let's say, the first 1 year and a half of the project and what we achieved until now, so we are more or less in the middle of the project duration. We, let's say, define the detailed architecture of the tool, of the platform, and understand which are the requirements for each the component, each of the models included in the tool, considering all the data flows and the interoperability and interconnection of the components. We have defined all the KPI for the assessment of the digital outputs and the data from the demonstration involved in the project, and we gather through survey, interviews, and workshop, which are the stakeholder information ranging from the end user living, so the occupants of the building, as well as all the other stakeholders involved in the value chain in terms of ESCO, facility manager, etc., to understand which are, let's say, the needs of the demonstration stakeholders. We started the preparation of the pilot sites in terms of procurement, installation of some physical monitoring equipment, and these are in progress towards the demonstration that will start in 6 months from now. Let's say, Chronicle project is also leading the development of the European standard for dynamic energy performance assessment of buildings as continuation of previous projects. So there is a strong collaboration with other projects in the same field to, let's say, exchange lesson learned based from the results of one project to continue and, let's say, putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So thanks for your attention. In the slides you can find also the, let's say, contact of the coordinator of the project and the link to all the social network.
Okay, again, a question. There must be a question. Oh, this nice project. I can ask a question.
Yeah.
How does this relate to the concept of renovation passports?
In terms that, let's say, the project have the aim to develop this digital logbook, which will include the different, let's say, tools and evaluation that coming from the data of the building could support the renovation of the building itself, to understand how to better renovate the different building involved in the project.
Yeah, seems quite logical, but do you also make this link with so in these countries where you work, with the policies in these countries?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yes.
do you see this as an example of how to
Yeah. let's say, I'm not directly involved in the project, so it could be difficult for me. But I know that, let's say, they are in contact with the local authorities to, let's say, provide also guidelines to future regulation policy guidelines and so on.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Somebody? Okay, thank you. The next one is
And
the
Lego Fit, yeah.
10 minutes and then 8 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angela Raldi from R2M Solution, and today I would like to present you the LegoFit project. But before moving to the core of the project, I would like to give you a brief context in which R2M operates. Indeed, we have a thematic area called Digital and Sustainable Transition in Building, which takes care of the digital and green transition for a more sustainable built environment and society, leaving no one behind. It has a specific focus on innovative buildings, digital technologies, digitalization in construction, and end users. As you can see, we have 4 main topics. So, for example, we have energy efficient buildings, data and information management and representation, data management and monitoring, and capacity building programs. In data management and monitoring, you can find the DBL. This is the thematic area in which we carried out the LegoFit project. So moving forward to the LegoFit project, the main objective of the project is to design, implement and validate an advanced and dynamic integrative approach to accomplish energy positive homes, all based on smart and innovative solution. R2M support this smart and innovative solution with the BIM models, so within scan to BIM methodology, and for sure, creating a standard and BIM-related digital building logbook. We will see more about this in the next slide. These are the 5 pilots in which this smart tool will be tested. So we have 2 residential buildings, the one in Spain and the other one in Hungary. Then we have a student dormitory in Turkey, and we have 2 new residential buildings, one in Luxembourg and the other one in Belgium. In LegoFit, the key innovation from R2M side, of course, is the scan to BIM methodology, as I said, which is a methodology in which we design the BIM model of each building, the as-built model, and then this BIM will be used for the energy modeling and to support many other tools that are based on the energy model. Secondly, we support the development of the digital building logbook in this way. I mean, we will support a digital building logbook which will be secure, scalable, and interoperable data governance framework, which will have a 3D BIM model visualization, which will have a potential integration with the material passport, and it will have APIs to feed data into and retrieve data from the DBL. The value proposition in LegoFit for the DBL is that the DBL solves the need to have in a specific place all the information about the life of a building. As you may know, sometimes it's really hard to have all the information related to the building in a clear, organized, and trustable way. The DBL we are proposing will allow to visualize, export, and in some cases share the information so that stakeholder can evaluate the evolution, sometimes makes decision, or this data can also be used in third party to perform calculation. So our approach at R2M for the DBL is to consider the DBL as a data sink, a data destination, a repository. The DBL doesn't do calculation, rating, or simulation. The DBL will be focused on the logbook functionalities, but it will have APIs for any external components that can retrieve or upload data. The data that we supported will be documents, binary data, key value pair data, and semi-structured data. For this reason, the main functionalities can be the information management. So, for example, tags, bookmark, filters, and so on. Then we will support a visual user interface, which will be web-based. We should avoid complexity and then can present timelines. Then we will support the user and the role of management within the use of a platform and within permission and data sharing. We will also support the integration with many sources, facilitating data exchange. And last but not least, we will support notification and alerting. This is the main preliminary, I would say, DBL architecture. As you can see, we have data output and data input that are separated from the field of the DBL, we decided to keep them separated based on robotics and manufacturing software architecture. And moreover, the DBL will be a multi-layer structure, but in LegoFit we will analyze which kind of layers will be further developed. So in LegoFit, the main challenges for the DBL will be definitely understand the project tool ecosystem and which kind of interoperation the DBL will have. For example, one of these interoperation will be within the circularity passport. We will need to understand how to adapt the DBL to the needs of this circularity passport. And we will also need to understand and to define the stakeholders and the use case in which the DBL will be used. And last but not least, we will provide some simple 3D visualization strategy to facilitate the usage of the user. I would like also to mention a bit the Chronicle project, because we started with this European project for the development of the DBL. I would like to thank you, our colleague, to have presented the project very well. So I will skip the objective. We already saw that, and I would like to focus more on on our activities in the field of the DBL. In Chronicle, we are developing the DBL as a cloud solution for storage, organization, and traceability of documents. It will be integrated within the common data environment for building data. And it has been developed within a methodology for regular data validation updates, supported by blockchain technology for transparency and data reliability. And last but not least, we decided to choose the target user group as building owner. That's all from my side, actually. So thank you for your attention.
Could you expand a little bit more on the governance structure that you mentioned? Maybe you don't have all the details now yet, but
Of R2M?
just generally on the solution, the LegoFit solution that you talked about. Previous slide where you had the features.
This one?
Yeah, so you talked about data governance framework, and then later on you talked about features, so you have role and user access and permissions. But can you go beyond that in terms of managing the data, especially if we're sharing with other stakeholders, and how they follow regular governance policies?
Okay, for this specific feature, the main focus, I would say, is to understand the use case in which the DBL will be used. I mean, understanding which kind of stakeholder will use the DBL will help us to understand in which framework we will support the stakeholder. As said, in LegoFit, we have just started the development of the DBL. So now we are at the beginning of the process. So yeah, from my side, I would reply in this way. And I don't know if you, Ruben, from the technical point of view, want to support, but I think it's almost this.
From the technical point of view, the idea that we have is that part of the data is shared with other stakeholders. So we are trying to understand in a role-based user model in order to see if we could share partial data without any kind of privacy implications. So maybe you are in an owner, you are renting your flat, you want to share part of your data or the data you have in the building within the book, but you don't want to share all the data. So this involves different levels of visualization, the visualization capabilities, different levels of privacy. So this is the things that we are going to be doing to research in the project.
I think we were looking at the data spaces initiative, and there are cases around that because looking more on the policy management.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, another question.
You mentioned a few challenges. I'm particularly interested in the connection with the circularity passports. Are you going to address it, or is this just you define the challenges, but these are just the problems we are facing and don't know what to do, or do you have a plan to address those challenges? And if so, what are you planning to do?
Thank you. No, indeed, we are at the beginning of the process with the entire consortium. We are still understanding which kind of connection the DBL between in this case, the circularity passport will have. So, yeah, indeed, at this stage, we are still a bit in the process. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's you. Sorry, I've just closed. Yeah. Okay.
I would prefer to stay. Don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, does it work? Yeah. Yeah, sounds like that. Hello, everyone from my side. My name is Judith Faut, and I will present you a collaborative research together with Pedro Meda, who is joining us online. So if you have a question online, please put it in the chat. He is available there. So, and I'm a Marie Curie postdoc fellow at the University of Cambridge, and Pedro is actually a PhD student at the University of Porto, but he also has a few other roles and affiliations, just to explain that. And so I explained my project in the morning, so I won't repeat that, just saying that much that my research is about building permitting in total, let's say, and Pedro is looking at digital building logbooks. And last year in July in Greece at the EC3 conference, we met there, and we were sitting at lunch together, and we were wondering, well, what we are doing, there are some connections, and maybe it's worth looking more into detail. So, and this is what I present you today, what we have done, let's say, the last year. So that's my side, that's Pedro's side, and we were wondering how those concepts, let's say on a concept level, are they connected or maybe not? So we started with a literature review on DBP, so it's Digital Building Permit, and looked, for example, into things like the different kinds of journals, and we were wondering, is DBL mentioned there? And as you can see, yeah, no, maybe implicit, specific part or so. So not really, actually. And if we look at the DBL side, so then you can see, no, yes, parts of it may be implicit and so on. So there is something, but that was not enough. So we ask each other or ourselves, are DBP and DBL related concepts? And if yes, how should they relate at the process level, as one level of many, I assume, but this is the topic of today. So we applied this SIFE horseshoe action research developed by the University of Stanford. And so so that we collect input and transform that to get some output and contributions and impact. And we did that with a workshop with experts. So, and to explain, so I will show you the workshop results today. And just to give you an idea, so we had an opening session where we discussed a little bit, so what are the main concepts, what are the main ideas. Then we had a first survey also asking about the expertise and so on. And there were time for open question. And after like a more detailed presentation on DBP and DBL, we had a moderators-led discussion. So we also had a few things prepared for the participants so that we can, that they could align the different things like adding dots to a specific part and so on. But also with a closing with open thoughts and the second survey. And the first survey, so we remember, so we asked what is the link between the group, and so is there a link and to what extent? And so you can see it's not really clear. So most of them see that also more in the construction process phase. A lot of people are still unsure if there even is a link, and or maybe is it then later on in the or maybe in the very initial phase. So it wasn't really obvious. And those are just a few pictures on the moderators-led discussion. So we asked them to add like one word on DBP and one word on DBL. And probably it's very small to see, but just to put or to pick a few of them. So what are the things you are concerned about when you think about this? And there's, for example, it's the user-friendliness is a key. We heard that already today. Also for permitting, by the way. So, but also for the logbook, maybe you're most interested in that. So how do users access it? What is the data structure and things like that? So we collected those mentionings. And then we also asked again, after this discussion, so, or we asked them, so where should they be connected, or are they linked? Should they be linked actually? So not are they, but should they? And they say yes, there is a link, but still people are unclear about this. And but also, what are the common processes, or how are they related to each other? And for example, some of them see there's a link of geospatial data, but others say that it's more DBP itself can be integrated as a kind of a process. So maybe that's an interesting one. But also who holds the sensitive information. So all those things we have a little bit heard already. And then Pedro and me, so we were just trying to collect this information and put it together on a process level. So if you imagine, you have, like from the building permit process point of view, so you have the design, you have the review phase, then you have the different phases in the review phase, you have the inspection, and maybe during the building life cycle, then you may need another renovation, you need a building permit, you want to reuse, or you would have another use of your building, so you need another permit until the renovation, the demolition, I mean. So, and we were trying to link between, this is something Pedro published, I don't know, 2 years ago, I think, so on the DBL. And it, for example, it's saying there is an analysis on the authority side, so and this is something where like the building permit process could come in for the municipal review, also just a part. So just to abstract this a little more, so you see we have different phases, different for the logbook and the permit, and we were just trying to understand, so at what point maybe also like some milestones where, like, I don't know, the documentation or the planning, the design is frozen, and how it will be developed further. And to give you also a little bit more content from the our moderators-led discussion and how we collected, let's say, the data. So just to give you a few words, so for the logbook, powerful data structure, so I think this is also most of the project want to achieve. A long-term curation, but also like a golden thread and a full life cycle passport. I think there are different concepts around renovation passport, but a product passport and so on. And for the permit phase, it's more like compliance, BIM processes, other processes, specifications, and so on, quality information. And but to conclude this, so I think we can say the intuition we had so can be confirmed, even it's not really scientifically proved in the literature yet, but maybe with the project that will come, or also the logbook projects, I mean. So that DBL and DBP overlap in terms of processes. I think also in the workshop we also asked for other like information and so on, so maybe that's time for another analysis. So that a lot of documents, also the EU strategic documents, should assume the overlap as a starting point to connect both concepts, the DBL and DBP. And from a data perspective, there are other meaningful development that needs to be considered. Aspire, the digital product passport, asset management systems, and so on. So we heard, I think, also a few of them. And yeah, we have also a lot of ideas on future studies, so to what detail we can look into further. Maybe go into more detail in specific steps and going in different steps even in more detail and so on. But also that can be done also for data requirements and information exchanges, which can also be evaluated in detail use cases, for example. So yeah, this is because of my Marie Curie Fund, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Very nice exercise.
Thank you.
Questions? No?
Yeah, since you mentioned in one of the last slides interoperability and then compatible reference structures, have you considered, maybe it's a question not only for your project but also for the rest, so what would be the, there should be some interoperability between the different DBL systems, how this will be achieved, what, you know, this is throughout the life cycle of a building, it's a long time, and then the different providers would change, so how this continuity of data would be addressed, is any one of the projects addressing this? The interoperability topic, yeah. So.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that probably all the other projects on Logbook probably should answer. So we were actually just trying to understand the connection between permitting and the logbooks, but maybe someone else from the other projects want to answer. But I do agree that needs to be figured out for sure.
It will be one of the questions of the roundtable. So we can deal with this interoperability data exchange aspects in the roundtable. I will ask the question, but if somebody wants to answer now, okay, so otherwise we will talk it in 5 minutes.
Could you elaborate on the population of your experts? Because I'm also wondering if there's a difference if the experts are working on the EU level, member state level, or the provider side. Yeah, because even within just the DBL itself, it's so difficult to find consensus. And then if you want to add that with DBP, I'm wondering how that conversation went, but also mostly on the composition of the experts.
Yeah. So yeah, I do agree that that can change a lot. So, but I think it was good to have at least a first insight. So I think we had around 15 participants in the workshop and mostly researchers. So I think there were also a few others, or maybe a lot of them, they have a part-time role here in the industry and a part-time in research. But that was our group, yeah. But I do agree. Yeah. If you have different perspective, maybe you get different answers, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe a final question. Maybe it's also in your.
Yeah, it's in the roundtable. Yeah.
You don't know what I'm going to.
Sorry.
No, I was wondering, did you also go through the EU policy documents?
No.
So on digitalization, maybe. Yeah, if these both things are mentioned.
Yeah, I think like this is Pedro's part, I have to admit, but yeah, I think in the literature review part, I think we also have this included. I don't show like the entire part, just like a few excerpts, but yeah, I think so. I have to ask, to be honest, but it's a good hint.
Yeah, to me it seems a very logical link, but it's possible that it's done by different people from completely different mindset, and you don't get a connection. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now we go on to Demo Block. Okay, you want to sit?
Hi everyone. I work with Henk at the TU Delft as a PhD researcher, and I'm also part of the project that I'll be presenting today, Demo Block, which stands for the development and demonstration of digital building logbooks. So we are a consortium of 14 partner institutions from 5 different countries, and we aim to bring together 5 currently existing and operational DBL initiatives to develop and demonstrate 4 new functionalities that can address energy transition at various levels, ranging from automated renovation advice for individual homes and decarbonization roadmaps at building and neighborhood levels, to creating good grounds for a circular use of construction materials. It's important that I clarify at this point that we're not creating a new DBL, but we're working with existing initiatives to support them into developing new functionalities. And the 5 DBLs that we're working and partnered with in this project are Woningpas from Flanders, Belgium, Clea from France, Chimney from the UK, CAPSA from Germany, and Surdax from the Netherlands. And as can be seen on the screen, Woningpas is the only publicly operated initiative and is unique in the sense that it is automatically available for every building in Flanders, whether the building owner wants or asks for it or not. And in contrast, while there's no legal basis for the use and implementation for DBLs in the UK, Germany, and the Netherlands, there has been one in France since January last year for new constructions and for existing buildings undergoing major renovations. However, unlike Flanders, France has a private market of 12 DBL providers, of which the building owners can choose from, and one of it is Clea. On the 4 novel functionalities, it's also important that we clarify that the 5 DBLs will individually focus on developing and demonstrating one of the 4 functionalities. And with that said, the user-centric automated renovation advice functionality will be developed and demonstrated with the Chimney and Clea logbooks in their respective contexts. The building level decarbonization roadmap functionality will be done in the CAPSA logbook. The community-driven decarbonization projects functionality in Woningpas. And lastly, the marketplace for the reuse of construction materials functionality in Surdax. The value we aim to generate as a result of this project therefore varies per DBL case. For instance, Woningpas would aim to move beyond the energy transition of individual home levels to enhance neighborhood-scale energy communities by enabling the sharing and integration of data from third parties, doesn't matter public or private, that can initiate these projects. Clea and Chimney, on the other hand, would expand their current services to provide the current services of a data repository to develop new services that can help individual homeowners improve the energy performances of their homes by creating and strengthening linkages with existing data platforms. CAPSA will then aim for the complete automation of their decarbonization roadmap functionality with improved data availability, while Surdax, with their services, would aim to develop a circular marketplace by means of innovations such as data analytics to encourage a wider reuse of building materials in the future. At this point of time, we're about 21 months in from when the project has first commenced. Most of the activities up to this point was to scope the parameters that can be considered in the new functionalities by the individual DBL providers, including data needs, the available external data sources, the technologies needed to enable both linkages to the existing data sources and functionalities, as well as targeted UX and end user needs. This means that a lot of, or most of the key innovations that we can observe at this point is very much on the back-end development. So please bear with us because there's a limit to how much we can share today. But in the case of Woningpass, a major milestone, which is the launch of the new functionality, has been achieved. Within the scope of the project, it's decided that the demonstration will focus only on encouraging collective installation of heat pumps, which they aim to achieve with the collaboration of 3 energy corporations in 94 cities. As you can see on the screen, approximately 340,000 users would have seen this new pop-up on their Woningpass homepage, informing them of the available collective initiatives in their respective neighborhoods. When clicking on the pop-up, the users are provided with the basic information of the project, including the area in which the project will take place, information about the project initiator, and of course the rough estimate of the budget or the cost of investment. And in the green box, they're also able to see the current tally on the number of people interested in the project, and should they themselves find it a good opportunity, they can schedule a meeting with the relevant stakeholders. In the case of Clea, a customer journey has been mapped to identify the needs of the individual homeowners when conducting energy renovations of their homes. The findings from the co-creation sessions with end users were able to help prioritize and structure the content and features of the functionality, with which a clickable draft has been designed, as you can see on the screen. At the moment, the development of the back end to launch this functionality is ongoing, parallel with expert consultations on the efficient and effective ways to calculate the projected EPCs of each renovation advice. Our UK partners are currently focused on establishing linkages between the available databases that contain information on the energy performance of the buildings to populate the data available in the chimney logbook, so that, and in that way, more accurate and effective renovation advice can be generated by the DBL. And for that, the metadata and rules for the APIs required for the integration, as well as the data prioritization framework, have been established. CAPSA, on the other hand, has been working on 2 main aspects: a robust collection of data and the improvement of UX and the backend of the CAPSA tool. An example of what's being considered is the example-based element condition rating system, where, for instance, the users, just with the telephone app, are able to assess the status of their building facades by taking a photograph. Such information can be useful when determining the necessary decarbonization interventions for a specific building. Lastly, Surdax was able to develop a model for an interactive circular marketplace with multiple rounds of consultations with key stakeholders, and they've placed priority on identifying how the current Surdax system can be modified to increase the demand for secondary materials by architects, building developers, construction managers, and so on. And as a result, the model that you can see on the screen is not completely new. The green bubbles were the necessary additions to what is already there in white, in black and white. One key conclusion they could draw at this point was the low state of awareness and readiness to use and adopt secondary materials by these stakeholders. And the next phase of development would thus involve supporting these stakeholders with education-based programs to encourage the use of secondary materials in construction. Some potential challenges we see in the next 27 months of the project revolves around the evaluation of the new functionalities. Several questions that we would like to contribute to the discussion include: how can we define a good set of parameters for evaluation? How can we measure the impact of the different functionalities on the energy transition of the existing building stock? And what can we do to collectively promote the use of these functionalities across an even larger number of DBLs among individual homeowners and building owners? And that was it.
Well, there has been one tender in order to define the European digital building
Yes.
notebook. This tender was, well, it was a second tender in which this content was further refined with some technical
Yes.
details. It still feels that there is not an agreement about what
No.
a DBL is.
No.
You have analyzed 5 different ones.
Yeah.
Considering that all of them are logbooks, do you feel that are more differences or commonalities between them?
One agreement we could come to was that it doesn't align with anything that exists already. And our industry partners, I wouldn't say they don't agree to the new guidelines, but they find it unnecessary that they have to change their services to be aligned with the specific guidelines. Perhaps for new services that are to come, it might be more relevant, but for what's already existing, they don't see the financial benefit of it, for instance. Yeah, that's why I was asking the question just now.
Can it be argued that these companies never had a DBL, but they want to get into the DBL market, so then they just want to sell into the market?
I would actually argue that these companies existed before the term digital building logbook even existed. Yeah. So it was more a market-driven of, hey, I need like a Google Drive to sort out all my building information and data, and then they provided an app or a web application, just to find out years later that they're doing something called the digital building logbook. Yeah. So.
Can I elaborate on this? There's another problem with the definition done in the EU reports on digital logbooks. There's a big definition of digital building logbooks, which includes all aspects like energy, circularity, etc. Then you kind of lose the boundary of what is, for example, a material passport, what is a DBL, or building passport, renovation passport. So,
so far it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And in that respect, I think here are 5 examples. Other projects have other examples. In some projects, new systems are built. But if you look around, there will be many more things that you could call a digital building logbook.
Yeah.
And what is digital is also one of these examples. They store PDF forms with information on buildings, digital.
Yeah.
That is not the real data, it's digits.
Yeah.
So
it's true, it's not paper. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and also in the case of Surdax, we would, at the start of the project, we actually thought it was more of a material passport than a digital building logbook. And for instance, the Woning Pass, I think in other European projects, I think it was the Be Real project, it was introduced as a building renovation passport, not a digital building logbook. So really understanding what is a DBL functionality and what a DBL is might be interesting for clarifications. Yeah.
So far, as I see it, it is more like it's good that we collect data of buildings and we store it digital for various functions. Yeah? And I mean, that's the drive where the EU wants to drive member states. And then maybe on some functionalities it becomes a little bit more concrete, like renovation passport, because that's mentioned in the policy document. And they take these actions, like these Icarus, exercise, like if we would build it up from scratch, how would it look like? But that is far away from implementation for all these functions in different member states. So I think it will take a long while that we still have lots of different instruments that we can all call digital building logbooks.
No.
Huh? And that's good for us as we are mostly researchers. So I think that's lots of it.
And I also think that's the added value of Demoblog, in the sense that we approach it from the bottom-up approach. Like we explore what's in practice, what's happening now, and then what can we do to make sure, maybe not the DBL itself, but the services that it can provide is aligned to larger European goals like energy transition. Yeah.
Yes, but in the standardization side, I wonder if you are looking for some formats, standard formats, to share data in the digital log. You are on the rest of the project, because for be honest, I don't know very much about the kind of format that are you looking for, and how, for example, organization like UGC can help to work together in one standard format.
Yeah. I think in the future of DBLs, that's very, very important. But within our project, at least, we're not creating something new to harmonize the 5 tools, because they have very different goals, they have very different structures. The regions have different legal basis for DBLs. But perhaps what we can learn from these exercises, we could bring it on as key takeaways for the EU level, is what we see most plausible for our project.
Sorry, is there no schema for digital building notebook?
Within our project, no. It's being developed. Oh, in general, no. Just guidelines. Yeah.
One of the reports that says the semantic approach.
Yeah.
One exists by, I think, from Eindhoven or from. No. Okay.
No, that was the Icarus project. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was commissioned by the.
Yeah.
So that's kind of basic, trying to
guidelines.
define how the data should be built up and so on.
Yeah.
So then, based on that, these companies, they want to tap into the data market so they can sell their services, right?
Yeah.
This is actually not a DBL, in my opinion. I mean, you are using DBL data to sell something, which is fine if the government makes people put their data in one place, and then they say everyone has to renovate, and then these guys come to the market, they have to make some money out of it. They come to the market and they need data to do estimations, right? Is that where this is going?
It depends on the type of initiative. For instance, Woningpas is a publicly owned, and it's non-profit. I don't think there's a fee to it, but for instance, I think in CLEA they have a private market of 12 providers, and I think there was, if I remember correctly, there was an initial fee for you to kind of subscribe to one of the logbooks, which in this case was CLEA. So it depends on the business model of how the DBL is set up in a certain region. Yeah.
And also the local regulations play
Yeah.
a role in that.
Okay. I think we stop the discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, and it will be the same topic, because we talk a lot about this data exchange and so on. So yeah, from what we have heard today, I feel that it's the 2 projects, Bildchen and Chronicles, that are more advanced in terms of data exchange. At least I feel that it's one of your core objectives Chronicle is because you have a lot of different tools that you want to interconnect. Buildchain is, I see that it was your first objective. So maybe you have some more things to talk about on that data exchange and interoperability. What have you put in place? What are the steps? Is it too soon also, or have you some experience to share with others on this topic?
Maybe you want them.
No. Okay. So I don't know if you have something more to say or. Buildchain and Chronicle, I feel it's the two. Yeah, sorry. It's on your shoulders both.
Okay.
If you have nothing, you can tell that it's too soon. But
yes, being at 1 year and a half, as I mentioned before, we finalized, the design phase and also making a literature review and a comparison about the digital building logbook that has been developed in different European projects. Also notice a very variety of fields as we talked so far. And now we are approaching the developing phase, and we are starting to develop some tools to integrate in the digital building logbook. One in particular is related to assess the user comfort. In particular, some calculation that allow the user to know the interruption during the renovation activity that a building can have. Also in the digital building logbook, some ideas that we try to develop that the user can understand, for example, for how long the water, also for example the energy will be interrupted if some renovation activity will start. And we are starting with this development.
Do you have partnership with external, maybe I don't know, energy provider, or can give you some data and that you integrate?
Yes. First of all, the Florence, the municipality of Florence, but it's involved in the project. Mainly, we have this data related to the historical building, also a large set of school. So we that need some renovation activity. So we will make some simulation on this set of school. External. I don't know because I'm not involved in all in all the project. I just follow the management part. And yes, I think yes. Probably yes. Some external. From Granada also the University of Granada have some building with some sensor already installed. So yes, of course they use some data from these assets.
So
I'm thinking about.
So maybe Alessandra, I don't know if you're more advanced in your projects and with all the tools that you aim to create over all the life cycle of the design of the building.
Yeah, so let's say it's something that it's included in digital building logbook, but I also see in other projects and other topics that the problem of interoperability and use, let's say, open standards, open protocol to connect different tools and, let's say, be able to use the data that we are available that coming from different sources, different type, in different format, a different, let's say, time step. It's always difficult to manage and to proper, let's say, use them to have insights and interesting information starting from this kind of data. We started with, since some of the tools were already developed by the partner, but just to modify, adding some feature and including in a full digital building logbook, we already started to map which are the standard protocol already used in the tool and try to define, let's say, which are the best way to connect each other. It's not an easy work. Let's say we are in the phase of define the full architecture and the different layer of the digital building logbook. So let's say everything has been set. Now we need to integrate everything and understand if how we develop everything and the architecture that we define at the end really, let's say, really works, or we need to modify something. That's why also, as I showed before, we have different steps for the validation in order to test step by step the tools in first of all control environments like laboratory or offices, let's say thanks to, for example, Hypertech building, which we have a control environment where we can do something, test different operation condition, etc., towards the full demonstration in the pilots. And this for sure help to understand if everything has been done in terms of interoperability, etc., at the end works or not.
So if I understand well, it's mapping the existing and then testing and bet on the best solution and see how it is developed. You want to add something?
Yes, well, I was involved in the design of Chronicle DBL, so I can tell you a few specific points of some specific decisions that we took when designing the DBL. One of the things was about prioritizing standard formats and open formats, okay? So this is one of the key points. It's in line with what was already mentioned, so it's one of the key points. Another point is related of being flexible about the data. So we are prioritizing, but we are not limiting, because the DBL is not in, it's a term that is evolving. So this means that the future DBL can have different needs in different data formats. So we are supporting, as Angela has mentioned, support binary data, semi-structured data, structured data, key-value pairs. So in order to be compatible with as many data sources as possible. The third point is about not blocking the data from the users. So we don't want to make any, let's say, we don't want to control the data in the sense that we are not allowing users to use their own data. So the idea is that the users can export or make use of their data in the future DBLs, because maybe the DBL of today is different from the DBL of the future. And yeah, the last point, and this is a little bit more related about interoperability, is that all the functionalities in the Chronicle DBL have an API, have an endpoint. So any kind of external tool that is authorized can make use of the data of the DBL. So for inserting data in the DBL or for extracting data. So this is why in the architecture that we have presented also in LegoFit, the idea is to separate the part of the DBL as a core concept from the idea of satellite components or agents that do different things. Calculation, simulations, visualizations. So this is the approach we have followed in Chronicle.
Yes, I can add one thing more. I am concerned about the aspect, for example, about the geometry, because some format can approach the geometry with different model. So I think that some standardization aspect could be very interesting, because it's true that we need to open to different information, and the people have the information that they have. So we need to open to use all the information, but then if each file have one geometric model or a spatial system, there are a lot of problems after to connecting and working with them, because a standardization side or interoperability technical aspect. So maybe it's a good point to, okay, you can open
to your data, but you need to consider that if you work in this geospatial system, you will have less problems. So some kind of things I am thinking that could help in the future as well.
Just to add on to that is that, as we've discussed it this morning, I'll take an example for easy understanding. To measure a surface area of a room, there are apparently more than one methods of doing it. So one of the opportunities that we could see was that the DBL can also include the method that was used to measure a certain thing, and then the EPC calculation or the renovation advice could mention that fact. This would be the projected EPC, considering this calculation using this method, and so. So it could also be room for opportunities in that sense. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, in this point, OGC are working with some very interesting thing that is like a profile in the API where you can define the data model behind. So you can see your API and the data model explained. And for example, you can, it's like a building block, you can work modeling your data model of your API, and in this form you can answer, you can request your data and you can request your data model. So in this kind of, you can see the number, but as well you can see how is a meter, kilometers, so on. So this is very interesting in my opinion. That is a project from the OGC to working with this kind of semantic aspect in the API. So. Okay.
Yeah, one comment here.
I wondered if you can elaborate more on the open standards that we have or plan to use.
Well, open standards, at least, I mean, a simple example is with DB models. I mean, you have a Revit model, which is a binary format, is quite used, but allows very little, let's say, analysis of the data or starting of the data because it's a closed format. You have alternatives like IFC, like GBXML, other formats that probably are not so good in some aspect, but at least you have some information that you can work with and you can play a little bit with this kind of data. Is one example. So this is the prioritization about this kind of formats.
Okay, I don't know if we have time for another question. Final question. It's also maybe linked to this data topic. It's what action should the government take to promote better DBLs, either in terms of data, but also in terms of adoption for the user, because we know that for the user, it's a lot of investment to learn the process, to set up, it's a high cost. So I don't know if in your project you already think about that, on maybe some conclusion you want to share on regulation, advices, or something. So I don't know who can start. No? Inspiration?
I could share the experiences, and I would call them experiences instead of research findings or something. We realized that the DBL can exist in various legal contexts. For instance, it can be legal and it's government run and it's a monopoly sample, a DBL. But it can also be, there is a legal requirement, but it's from a private market and you can choose from the many services that exist. But there's also cases, for instance, in the UK, where there is the RLBA, which is a body of, if I remember correctly, 6 DBLs in the UK, and what they want to actually, what they need from the government is that the government pushes for or urges the need for homeowners to have it, because they understand the importance of a DBL, or at least the benefits of having a DBL, but trying to convince normal people to say you also need one is very difficult. So what they believe is that the government should play a larger role, or at least the financial institution should play a larger role to make sure that this message is delivered to a wider public, so that a lot more people understand that there is this tool that you thought you might not need, but actually it will be very helpful for you. So for the implementation and the rollout of DBLs, they think the government has a higher influence over. Yeah.
May I add something? Yeah, there are many regulatory things like building regulations, building permits, procedure that have a starting point, like there is data needed and it should be somehow digitalized. So I think that is really the starting point. And then you can wonder, like, how far should the government go in developing tools? Maybe that's really something for the market. That's what we see a little bit in the examples. The government says, like, okay, we have rules and goals, building regulations, and you have to apply, and you go through a building permit procedure. So that's a step where you can say, like, okay, this is a starting point for a digital building logbook for a building. If you submit your data in BIM form, whatever, then there should be also a form like, let's now store it. Then, of course, the question is, like, who is the owner of that data in the future, and how can it be usable? So building regulations for new build, that's a starting point. And then EPCs is another starting point, because everybody, a building owner that wants to rent out or sell, needs to have a energy label with the data, and that could also be stored and give it a lifetime perspective. So I think there are reasons for governments to see, like, okay, what kind of things do we need data for? And how can we start from there to make it more uniform? I know from the Dutch government, because they see now this obligation coming for the renovation passport, and they're not so in for starting big actions to collect new data, but I better stand up. But there are already many reasons for having data, and also for ownership of buildings in cadastre. That's also a starting point that exists already. So the government started with what they call a national provision of building data. Like, and they made a scan, like what kind of data is there, what is public, or what is somehow available. And sometimes there's also data for getting insight in the quality of the building stock. Also that kind of data can be used. And part of that, on top of that, they could say, like, okay, we would like to see renovation passports, for instance. And then it's up to the market, like organizations that now make energy labels, that they make something which is, have a more broader scope, I think. That's a bit the feeling that I have, what a starting point could be to get this further developed. But I also see that it's very hard, that approach that we were just talking about, and this study for the European Commission on how should it ideally be. Nobody will start from scratch, I think. But it could be a kind of reference model. Huh? You could say, like, okay, we have something that gets very close to this, and it also has a future perspective for many purposes, so we go on with this. Or you can find out, like what we have, it misses a lot of things. We maybe have to take some steps back, and what do we need to get a better data provision.
Okay, thank you very much. I think now we need to conclude. So we'll will give you the mic. You should conclude as the host of the. So thank you very much for your answer. I think we see that it's very broad topic, and we need to further discussion and experiment on all those data and governance aspects. So thank you very much for your participation. And Henk, if you want to conclude the workshop.
Yeah, well, maybe my last words was already kind of a bit of epilogue, but I see it was very useful to have also this connection to the initiatives for automated data building permits. Yeah, well, even if we present all these projects to each other, we somehow understand where they are about, but they are built within their own boundaries, with people that exactly know what is going on in this project. But it's quite difficult still to make clear to the others that it is part of a bigger thing that we're working on. So I think this kind of discussions are very, very useful, especially for all of us that are involved. Last year we also had on this Sustainable Places conference already a beginning, start of this. Some of these projects just had started. Now we see further development. So I'm already looking forward for next year's event. Where will it be? Is it clear?
We don't know yet.
Okay. Well, I think there should be definitely something to continue the discussion, and then we can all bring in our further experiences. And thank you for all for your participation.